I'm just going to take us through another pranayama or breathing technique. So I'm going to sit down on the floor. I've got my hips elevated up onto some blocks to help keep my spine nice and long. We really do want to make sure we have a nice long spine doing our pranayama practices. And I'm going to come into Sukhasana, where my heels are in line with my pubic bone. Otherwise, you could sit with your legs completely crossed. You could sit with your legs out straight. You could be sitting into a chair or leaning up against a wall if that helps keep your spine straight. There's often a real misconception that we have to suffer our way through meditations, and that's definitely not the purpose. We want to be comfortable. We are building strength when we're sitting like this, but we don't want to be so uncomfortable that our mind is constantly wandering off into how uncomfortable and how much longer do we have to sit through this for. So get yourself comfortable, and you can learn to activate and still build strength within that comfort. Depending on where you're at, if you're feeling really activated and need to quieten down, then often turning the palms down can help to quieten the mind a little. If you need a little bit more energy and a bit of an upward lift, then turning the palms to face up could be helpful. And we want to gently draw the shoulder blades back towards each other so we get this broadening across the front of the chest. We're creating space for our lungs here to be able to breathe nice and fully, and if we're closed down like this, our lungs can't expand nicely. So often we need to do some poses and some stretches to help to open this front body. So that's often, pranayama can be really nice after a yoga practice, but it doesn't have to be after a yoga practice. And same principles here, we're lifting the lower ribs up away from the hips, so we're looking to create space, we're looking for a nice long spine, trying to get my ears, my shoulders and my hips all in one line. And I'm going to have my palms facing up today. So just close the eyes down. Notice where you're at, what have you brought with you, anything that's really ticking over in the mind. Just let yourself know that you'll address those things when you're finished. Just offering yourself just a few minutes just to have some complete time away from the to-dos and the to-don'ts. If you lose your way during a pranayama practice, or if the mind starts to wander off, then that's okay. Just know where it's wandering to, pop it aside and come on back. And then scan through the body. Notice if you're tensing or gripping, just invite everything to soften. Soften the jaw, soften the eyes. And then just notice, where is your breath now? Which part of the body does the breath move into? And if it's okay for you to close the eyes down, go for it. Otherwise, let the gaze just drop down, keeping the chin parallel with the floor, but the gaze just dropping down, so you're closing out what's going on around you and bringing ourselves into this internal world, pratyahara, we call it in yoga. Start to tune out the distractions of everything around us and just bring our awareness into ourself, into the body. And then start to notice the flow of the breath here. In through the nose and out through the nose, if that's okay for you. And do you notice whether the temperature changes on the inhale and the exhale? Feel like the breath moves more through one nostril than the other. Nothing nothing to change, just to notice. Our breath just happens. It's an involuntary response in the body until the day that it's not. But while it is, we also can have some control of it, and that's what we're doing with our pranayama, is that we're starting to invite the breath to move under our will and to direct it into different places. And not only does that help to bring more oxygen in the body, but it's said to move the energy and the chi around the body, the unseen force, the unseen energy in the body. So here, just start to get a sense of the breath moving down into the belly. Imagining that you're breathing right down low. Feel the belly expand, still with this sense of containment and supporting yourself. We're not collapsing into the belly. Just feeling the breath. If it feels like you need a bit of a reference point, you could bring the hand onto the belly and just feel that rise and fall. Seeing if you can make the inhale and the exhale around the same length. So when the belly rises and falls as we breathe in and out, it tells us that we're getting our breath down deep into the lungs, into that lower part of the lungs, which is going to start to engage our parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of our nervous system that responds to rest and repair. Just let go of that directing of the breath. Come back to a natural breath. And that may have changed slightly from when we started. And then now let's see if we can direct our breath into the middle of the torso, into the lower rib cage. Getting a sense of the breath moving in and expanding the ribs left to right, but also expanding the ribs front to back. And if you need to bring your hands, you could pop your hands in on those lower ribs. You could wrap the arms around yourself and hold on to the sides of the ribs. Or you can just keep the hands in whichever position you had initially. And then imagine that you're breathing into just that area. Again, seeing if you can see and invite those breaths to be even inhale, even exhale. And it's nice to be a little bit curious about what's going on. No judgment, but just noticing. Does one side of the ribcage expand differently to the other? Does it feel like you're much more aware of one lung than the other? We have one lung bigger, one smaller, different organs in the way. the next exhale, just let go of that breath. Let the breath just find its own rhythm, and again, that may have changed from what it was when we started. Just noticing kind of the internal movement of the body. Sometimes there can be a sense of swirl or buzzing or tingling as we oxygenate the body. Now we want to see if we can just send our breath into that top part of our lungs, right up high and under the collarbones and under the armpits. And so you could bring the hands onto the chest, just onto the collarbones, across towards the shoulders. Or keep them down in your chosen position. And start to imagine that you're breathing into that upper part of the lungs. Noticing the rib cage expand right up deep into the armpits. The lungs come right to the top of our collarbones. Noticing as you breathe in and out that the shoulder blades are able to move with the breath. Check that you're not tensing or gripping or forcing. Anytime it feels too much, just back away and let the breath be natural. Is there any way you could soften, and even though you're trying something new, see if you can just not try too hard. Go. Just letting your breath find its own rhythm again. Just observing. Just for 4 or 5 rounds, we'll do from top to bottom. So we're going to just fill into the bottom of the ribs first, into the belly, into the mid center of the torso, and then up into the upper chest. And we'll do that with about a 1 second count into each area. So belly first, ribs, and then upper chest, which is going to take us to about a 3 second count. We're going to pause, and then we're going to exhale for 4. Okay, so find your rhythm. If none of that feels right for you, just listen in and just follow your breath. So just by listening and tuning in, that could be enough. Otherwise, at the end of the next exhale, start to breathe into the belly for 1, mid-ribs 2, upper chest 3, pause, and then exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale belly, mid chest, upper chest, pause, exhale for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. 2 more rounds, and just do them by yourself here. Just connecting, filling from bottom to top, pausing and exhaling. At the end of the next exhale, just letting go of any control of the breath and observe. I'll leave you here, but if you've got time and you want to sit for longer and just spend time observing the quality of the breath, the quality of the mind, always great to kind of check in throughout the day and see if these practices have shifted anything for you. Namaste.